These are just some of the images that are the result of the horrific act known as whaling. Did you know that there are currently 11 different species of whales listed as endangered and several more considered vulnerable to endangerment? Despite the dwindling numbers and obvious risk of species becoming extinct, some pro-whaling countries still insist on whaling for their own selfish gain. There is a dire need to sustain whale populations, all of which have either been confirmed or presumed to have dropped drastically in the last 100 years. Whales are a vital part of the environment and an essential element in world industries for other reasons than the mindless killing of them. Today, I would like to convince you to take a stand against whaling and to get involved in the anti-whaling movement. I will reveal the reasons why whale protection is needed, the history of the fight against whaling, and solutions to the growing problem. There are an unlimited number of arguments that can be made for why the preservation of whales is necessary. Despite the fact that killing such a majestic animal is morally wrong, the killing of one that is also severely endangered is even worse. Whales are an important factor in sustaining the environment. Whale droppings are vital to the ocean's carbon supply. A recent study of whale feces suggested that the feces once provided huge quantities of iron, which boosted the growth of carbon-sequestering phytoplankton, an important food for many sea-dwelling animals. With the dropping number of whales, there is less waste to provide food for the other marine animals. Another reason whales need to be protected is to save other marine industries, such as the whale watching industry. The whale watching industry is a more than $2 billion a year industry, which is enjoyed by over 13 million people annually. Whale watching is an internationally dynamic industry that not only offers significant commercial benefits for local communities, such as creating jobs and new businesses, but also offers a terrific opportunity to educate the public about whales and the marine environment. This further enforces the point that whales are worth more to nations alive than dead. The International Whaling Commission, or IWC, was established in 1946 to deal with some of the whale watching or whaling concerns and to provide the proper conservation of whale stocks. Despite its efforts, the IWC is still an imperfect system due to its inability to collect needed information from whaling countries and enforce its decisions effectively. In 1982, the IWC voted to introduce a moratorium on commercial whaling to take effect in 1986. Japan, however, never stopped whaling. More than 25,000 whales have been killed since the moratorium was supposed to come into force. This is done through a permit system known as scientific whaling. The whalers simply assign themselves a permit that says their kills are for scientific research only. This practice has been described as commercial whaling in disguise, since the meat ends up for sale in high-class Japanese restaurants anyways. Many arguments have been made for the continuance of whaling. However, none hold any ground. The use of whale meat as food is probably the most obvious argument for whaling. However, in some areas where whale blubber and meat is so highly contaminated with organochlorines such as PCBs, heavy metals, and pesticides that it is considered hazardous to human health. The contamination is known to damage the development of children and affect reproduction. Another argument for whaling is the fact that whales have caused a shortage of fish, simply because whales eat fish. This can be easily disputed due to the fact that fisheries are to blame for the drop in fish population. No claim of declining fish population has had any scientific foundation to back it up anyways. A final argument made by whaling countries is that they have a historical right to do so. The IWC has only recognized one situation in which killing whales is legal for historical reasons. All other killing is purely for the greed of the high selling price of the meat and blubber. Besides all the arguments made to justify the killing of whales, None is more insulting than the claim that the kills are done in a humane way. Whalers use a weapon called a harpoon grenade to pierce the whale's thick skin. Once embedded inside the whale, the grenade tip explodes, inflicting massive trauma and internal bleeding. Fortunate whales die quickly. Others who aren't so lucky die a slow, agonizing death. Little has been done to stop these treacherous acts. Not only does the IWC not have any formal punishments for violating their law, they have no way to enforce the laws in the first place. I believe that at this point, the UN needs to step in and stand by any decisions the IWC makes. This can be done by announcing at UN meetings the status of all whale laws and punishments if the laws are broken. Also, the IWC should be given the power by the UN to establish a sort of international whaling police, an armed force that can patrol the open ocean and make sure all whaling vessels are abiding by IWC law. On a smaller level, there are many ways we as individuals can do to help. Whether it's handing out flyers on campus, making small donations, or volunteering at an anti-whaling organization, it all helps in the long run. Now that I have told you about the importance of the anti-whaling movement, I hope you realize that it is not only to stop the mindless killing of a majestic animal, but also the economic and social issues that will arise if whales are wiped from the planet. Getting involved is easy, and I hope I have convinced you to do just that. Thank you.